Hello and welcome back to the second episode of Quest of the Sourcerror development vlog. Today I'm gonna look a bit into what has happened since the first episode, uh, the official first episode. Here we'll be talking a little bit about the progress I've made on the environments that I'm making, and I'm also gonna think a little better about the learnings from there. Uh, Rounding out, I will be looking at some of the final texturing of this maintenance room that I'm making currently, and then I will move on to the character model for my brute character. Like he's kind of a bad guy the hero is gonna meet, and he's gonna have a bit of a bebop and rocksteady feel to him. So yeah, let's see if I can get there. This is of course also still a lot of learning in progress, and we're just trying to have fun with it. So let's see what we can do with it today, and then let's try to round out with some nice thoughts and comments on it. So yeah, let's dive into it. So the first room that I'm gonna show here, which I have a render of here, that is like this shipping room that the main character comes into after he kind of escapes this office room that we were looking at the first time. So he comes into this where he sees one of those giant, uh, what is that called, spider robots, kind of packing up another fellow human for shipping off into utilization, as I think I will call it. I'm not sure if it's gonna go up in the video, but this was I think it was a fairly interesting room because I tried out a few different things in terms of, oh, spoiler alert, this is the next thing we're looking at. We Yes, so there's a few different things that makes this like a little different from the first room I was making. So here, uh, this this room, like overall, it's more or less the same. Like it's a long corridor, but actually also has a corridor down here. So, but all in all, it's fairly similar in that sense. But I have tried to put in a few more details than I had in the other room. So the other room was kind of static in that it had like a lot of tables with computers on it. Of course, there's many of them, but not a lot of variation in it. So in this room, to try to make it a little different from the first room, I tried to put in a little bit of different things that I could see could be in this kind of morgue shipping room. Um, and yeah, just trying to make it a little different, but of course still trying to keep it in the same kind of style. I think that's still one of the hardest things for me to like keep a consistency between the different scenes or rooms. But I'm pretty happy with how this has turned out so far. As we see up here, this air cooling air conditioning system that is kind of a continuation from the previous room. So I hope that is gonna give the feeling that you are continuing into the next room, or the character is there. Of course, it's two scenes that are linked together like that, but just to give a sense that, yeah, it is an immediate continuation of the same room, more or less, how to say it, of the same building. So in here, I've also tried out with a bit more colors. I don't know, maybe it will have to be muted down a little bit as I get closer to the actual filming of it or making the render of the movie. But all in all, I think this is okay. So yeah, I tried to put in a little trash can, some kind of electricity thing. Of course, I have this little door down here, which is gonna be the one that the hero escapes through. and then a little table over here from which that robot is going to be working on uh, that fellow human. So I also try to make a little graphic up here. Of course, this is, I just wanted some kind of a monitor. I don't think there will be any close-ups, and of course you can see there's nothing really on it, but just to try to give a little flavor to the room and make a little something. Also put a little lightning bolt on this thing, and actually also have a little biohazard image on that one. So it's just like things that I drew. Then of course I have this rail up here with these nasty looking meat hooks, and this table, and yeah, like a little pipe over here, and this door. So like actually a bit interesting thing about this door is that it should be able to uh, move up and down. Oh yeah, so here, as you see, I've made I don't know, kind of an anchor point. I'm actually not sure what it's. So that's the transformation orientation. So, but anyway, this is making it, giving it which point should be the one that it's pivoting around when I'm rotating it. So this will enable me to, in the animation itself, open up this hatch so the hero can go down and slide down it. So hopefully that will all work out as intended. And yeah, again, maybe I want to do a little bit more weathering of the room, maybe make it a bit darker in the back, but overall I feel like this is pretty much done. So one of the things that I try to do in this room as compared to the other one is like to give it some tiles, because I want to make it like, I want to make it like different from the other room, but I also want it to feel more of a like kind of this shipping morgue, kind of like butcher facility, which is actually going to be one of the later rooms where it's going to be even more butchery. Uh, Sorry if that's a bit macabre, but the idea here is to have those tiles to like kind of give it that feeling. And this was one of the places where instead of drawing it in hand as a texture paint inside of Blender, I I saved the what is that called, like the texture itself, and then used just regular old paint actually to try and give some of these like these different aspects to it. So here you can see I just marked which was top and bottom of that, and then here I've been putting those in like more or less just as they are here, like copying them out. You can see that they're all kind of the same, and then afterwards in Blender, using the texture paint to paint over all of this to give it those shadows that are of course static, but I think it's still going to be the easiest for me to work with, and I think that's going to be the, yeah, like the feeling that I want to go with. So that is a few of the learnings I think I had from this room. Still, yeah, might need to mute some of it down, but overall, I'm pretty pleased with how this has turned out. And that kind of leads me into the next room, which is this maintenance room, which is not quite done yet. But as you see, it's a little bit different in the scale. I think this is also to show this is like different, that he's a little more safe from the immediate threat of those spider AIs, machines, or how to call it. But of course also yeah, just to give a bit of variation to what has been there before. So here I've copied some of the chairs from the first office room. I think like that canonically makes sense that they're using those chairs. But otherwise, the things in here, like they might be a little bit bigger, a bit too big. Some of them maybe scaling some of them down a little bit would help. But it's not something I'm too concerned about. Like it is what it is. But yeah, trying to put in a bit of different things, some different boilers of sorts, giving them a bit of like just a little bit of flavor here. I've like painted on um, a little sign as well, uh, giving some edge just to make it look like it's something that can open. Yeah, I have a little gauge here as in the other room. Try to make some different cylinders just to make it a little bit more alive. And yeah, so far I think this is okay. This is what I'm going for, or this is how it's turning out. So it doesn't matter too much how I want it to look. This is how it's gonna look. But yeah, overall, I'm pretty happy with it. I am gonna be trying to finish this room up a little bit more. So right now, I am missing the texture paint for this pipe here, for the roof here, and for this door over here. I hope you can see. Yeah. So yeah, I think I'm just gonna try to do that now, and then maybe we can see and learn a little bit together. So yeah, so this is a different view. Here I have this pipe. Uh, yeah, I've been trying to give all the different pipes different names, but at some point I feel like it kind of didn't make sense anymore. Uh, but yeah, there's not too many, so it's okay to have an overview of. But one of the things that I did notice, because I think I actually have painted this pipe before, is that I might have forgotten to save some of them. So of course this is one of the hazards when having a lot of different things and you're working on all of them at once. So this is actually not the one that we're currently working on. It should be the one just called cylinder pipe. And as I believe it is already unwrapped, yeah, and there's nice outlines there. So I'm just gonna go into the texture paint and I can see over here what I'm actually painting, and here I might just I won't be using too many what is that called, kind of uh, shortcuts, because I don't really know them or I haven't planned them out. I see, yeah, like it's number pad, but I don't have a number pad here, but there's some other thing you can do. But for now, I'm just gonna do it like this. And of course, we have this pipe here, and I have the the material set up. I have added that at an earlier point, and then I'm just gonna give it maybe a little, that's maybe too much, and a little less strength, and uh, I think I'm gonna start out with some shadows just around here. So here you can also already see that it's starting to give some of that shadow, some of that effect that I'm looking for. And we just want to see how far up we are. So somewhere like there. So I want to have a little bit of shadow whenever it hits the edge, and like that's not necessarily how it is in real life, but I feel like it makes the best transition, that it's not just like two things clipping together, but it yeah, just gives a little bit of shadow and makes it a little bit more, how to say, like kind of dynamic, or uh, just somehow makes it feel a little bit more real. So I feel like one of the hard things in this room was actually with all these different pipes. When I was trying to make the shadows, I was also trying to like gauge where would the light source be coming from. But as I have like four uh, different lights up here, I'm not quite sure how strong I want them to be, anything. But it's a little bit about like how would this pipe that is not like completely against the wall, but a little bit extruded, how would that cast a shadow, and what will look the best there? I've I've tried some things. I don't know if it looks too nice, but I think it is okay for what it is, and I'm just gonna leave it as that for now at least. So some of these points are a little bit weird as I cannot see everything. A lot of the places I have actually painted the. Let me just see. This should be the north wall. I have painted the back of them. Of course, it doesn't matter too much as I'm not gonna have the camera back here. But I think if the camera does swirl around a little bit and uh, and then I see some of it, I think it's gonna look nicer. And at any rate, I am gonna have like that effect of when you're painting on the around side, then from painting here it also gets a bit on the sides, which I think yeah just helps and makes it a bit more realistic like that. Of course it's not too important, so I'm just gonna give it a bit of highlight here. uh, so now it is looking like this, and I think that is more or less it, and I can see that this is more or less how it looks, and I think that is actually how I would like it to look for now. So here I can of course again go in and give it a bit more weathering. I think it could actually be nice to have maybe like a little bit of like kind of uh, some rusty tint to it. It's not something that I've done a lot on the rest of the stuff, but it's something that if I have a lot of time, or if you have a lot of time, or you really want to make your scenes pop, then doing some of that stuff, I think, like really gives it a bit more life and makes it makes it all like more believable, basically. So what else did we have? We have the wall over here. So, oh, not the wall, but the door. And I'm gonna see if I can. I'm gonna have to go into the edit mode, and I'm gonna select this. And for some reason, the door is okay, but that I suppose is fine. Okay, so I have the door here, and of course this. Normally, I think I would have had the door and the handle in the same, like in the same, what is this even called? Like model. But as it is not like that now, then I'm not gonna worry too much about it because that's not the kind of person that I am. So let's see here. I'm in this. I'm in the UV editing, the edit mode, and then I press A to select all, and then I press U, no, U here, and then I do the Smart UV project to unwrap it, and here with the island margin, I'd say 0.05, and you'll see very shortly what that means. So here it is still on this cylinder pipe, that doesn't matter. Actually, we should save that so I don't run into the same problem as before. So I'm just going to save that in my materials, maintenance, and here I have cylinder pipe, and you can see it's not been saved, so that's why it's not. But yes, here this This is now unwrapped, the door. And as you can see, there are these margins, and I like those margins as that allows me to paint a little bit more. I don't know how to say, roughly maybe. But if you have these, if you don't have any margins, then the models or these UV maps will be directly up against each other, and sometimes when you are painting, the paint, I don't know the specifics of how it is in Blender or in any other tools, but sometimes the paint goes a little bit outside of it, so you can like kind of start to paint on parts of the model that you don't want to. So this is a tip I saw, and yeah, I would like to share, and you should use if you feel like it benefits your needs. And I'm gonna just maybe just hide a few of these things just to make it a bit easier for me to paint. So we're gonna zoom in a little bit on the storm over here, and gonna go into texture paint, and I am gonna look at this door here. Yeah, so what I want to do here is to add a base color, and this is just gonna be, I don't know, doors, maybe door is fine. So of course, depending on the project you are making, you may want to have different sizes of these textures. Uh, and I kind of use it depending on if it's a wall, I do it a little bit bigger. If it's a smaller object like this, I'll just do like 256 pixels. I'm not gonna do alpha alpha, as I understand it's like a transparency layer. Um, I might be doing that later on, so I have some ideas with like maybe how to make the lights shine a bit more, and I think I could use that there, but I'm gonna look at that at a later point. So um, so the door itself, maybe I want it to be a little bit lighter than the walls. So before it was on the standard wall color. So I'm just gonna say let's try and do it like this. So yeah, so it is kind of stale, how to say, or very flat in a sense. So here I am gonna try and make this, just make it like pop a little bit. I don't want it to be anything that is too specific, but maybe like just add a little bit of shadow here around, and uh, again around the bottom, just to make it stand out against the ground a little bit. Uh, I think the nice thing about having them as, oh, actually on the top instead of doing shadow, I would like to do some highlight. So because I feel like that fits a bit better with what can be seen here. So yeah, that's just a little bit around the edges. Maybe I want to give it a bit more down here. So the length of the doors here is actually not uh, quite the same as the floor, so it's a bit longer, but just going to be a static door that is not going to be used. So I just made it like that, and again, I'm not going to worry too much about it because it's not going to get used in the story. Of course, if it was, then I would probably like try to make it fit better and make it make it a bit better part of the scenery in that sense. But now I like kind of maybe give it a bit more on that side, and yeah, then just sometimes I do like just like go over it and give it a bit more. Oh, no, I want to see how it's turning out over here. So let me just select door. So you can't actually tell too much, which makes me think it's gonna be probably be maybe a bit too wide actually. So I'm just gonna like give it a bit of yeah, kind of weathering here, and just like oh, so something like this. So then I'm giving it a bit there. So I'm not gonna worry about the back of it because again, it's not really gonna be shown. But just giving it a bit of different colors here to make it uh, at least feel part of the environment in some way, shape or form. So just a bit more over here and a bit more over there, and then I'm just gonna finish it up. So something like that. I feel like that could be okay. Um, so I'm gonna save that. I think that's again one of the good learnings to just save the progress. And then we're gonna go with this handle. Question is, we probably uh, maybe we can just be quick about it and not do the UV map because it is just like such a small thing, so I don't necessarily need to um, don't need to make a like a specific UV map because it is a very simple um, shape. It's just a little cube. I'm gonna make it a bit darker than the other one. Just gonna keep it in the same size otherwise. So yeah, it's a bit darker there for sure. uh, so here you can actually see that it is just unwrapped as like as a basic cube, even if it is like a bit more sophisticated than that, then it's a bit more narrow in that sense. But I think it's gonna be okay. At least we can try to check it out. I'm just gonna give it a bit of coloring like this. Again, it's not something I'm too concerned with, but just like a bit of highlight to try and make it stand out a little bit. And this makes me also remember the door. I should probably also have a bit of shadow for this handle, so I'm gonna change back to that and try to make it a very tiny radius and maybe not so much strength just to see how it turns out. That was not quite as straight as I wanted it to be. So yeah, this is kind of part of it, trying to make it just right. Maybe if I zoom in a little bit, then it can. So so okay. So here you can also see that it's there. Yeah, so this is upside down in terms of what we're doing, but yeah, I think that is more or less the door. So I'm gonna save that. I'm gonna save this image, and I'm of course also gonna go back and find the handle and also save that just to be sure. And there we go. And then I'm just gonna try to do the roof, and that will, I believe, be the final thing in this room for now. I do have some things that I was thinking about, but yeah, no, don't, never mind. So roof, we have that here, and in order to see that proper, I'm gonna take away the kind of the floor, and then I'm gonna add in these other walls because they are gonna help me to know where the different shadows should be. So I'm gonna do this, and then I'm gonna again always be saving, and then I'm gonna go into this room I was in, the UV editing. Here I'm gonna select the roof, I'm gonna then change to edit mode and then do this same. So I'm just doing the same smart UV project parameters for all of the different things. I feel like this makes it easier for me if I'm going back and redoing some of it. I know more or less what it is, but of course you can do it however you want. And I think this is just based on what I've learned so far. So yeah, so what I want to do here is, of course, I want these like small shadows around the edge here. As the light are also a bit further up here, maybe I want to add some more shadow towards this um, to this piece that is a little bit extruded, and otherwise I'm gonna keep it fairly bright. Maybe have a little bit of shadows around the lights, just to make it look, yeah, a little bit more. What is that? I don't know if it's dynamic or, yeah, just make the lighting pop a little bit more and then make it a little brighter. Yeah, so let's try and do something like that. Again, just add a material. I'm gonna keep it fairly light as with the other things because this is a bigger surface. Then I'm gonna do the 1024. Just gonna keep it as this. I have named it roof M because it is the maintenance room. So try to not confuse myself more than absolutely necessary. But yeah, just add that here, and then over here I can find it, and then I have some idea of what I'm doing. Bum, 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 bum. Yeah, so I have this here, I have that here. I'm gonna make this all the way dark and keep this all the way light. And yeah, I'm just gonna start out with a very low strength, but maybe a little bit bigger radius. Maybe not that big actually. And then I can just try to suss out where the different borders are, how much is needed. Of course, you can always go back and redo this, or give it more or less based on what you feel you need on your project. I'm just gonna give it a bit more just to make it fit more with the walls. Over here, I want to give it a bit like that. And as I said, like maybe have a bit of shadow around these, but not too much. But like, I feel like that's often how it is with lights and stuff because they have this base. Um, so there will be some shadow around them, but otherwise they'll be, of course, pretty light. Um, Again, this might not make too much sense, but I like to put a bit of shadow around in the corners, just to oh, just to make it like, yeah, make it look a bit like that's where things are fitting together. Of course, here I am painting on both like I am painting on both this wall, this wall, and this wall, or this ledge, and so I have to make it kind of fit together. So maybe having a radius that is not so big, and maybe even have even less strength just to make it not that obvious. So, and then maybe around the corners here, just give it a little bit more. Um, and of course, this is something that can be changed, and if needed, oh, I of course dragged it a bit too far there. So, mm, 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 something like that, and there, and ah, that's not. So, and then just add a little bit more where I feel like it would be needed, and then yeah. So there can be a lot of uh, a, a lot of fun with just drawing in these details, and as I mentioned, you can put in more weathering, like around some of these pipe areas. Maybe it would be nice to have a bit like something looking like some water damage, just yeah, to make it feel a bit more realistic. So there could be, I think there should be some yeah, some pipe sticking out here. Of course, this is also one of those places where I need to think in some shadows for that. So just adding it like this could be a little darker even, giving it a bit more in the corners here. It's maybe a bit too much. Something like that. Give it a bit there. And yeah, that's more or less how I would do it, at least. If you have different ideas, then please feel free to add a comment. If you know, you probably know more about it than me. Uh, but yeah, now just giving a bit of highlights to of course, where the lights are shining. Um, Maybe here also think a bit about where do we have um, what kind of uh, how to say what kind of lighting should also be on these. So if you have like a big enough brush here, brush radius, then you can yeah just add it like how you see fit. And if it's not working out, then you can always redo it or roll over it again. See if something else could be nicer. So yeah, it's still might still not be popping that much, but I feel like that's actually okay-ish. So let's just I'm gonna try and see how this all looks after we have done this. One thing, so if I'm rendering it now, it will be quite a bit darker. So as you see, but some of the things are lighter, and that is one of the curious things about this project. So as I want this PlayStation 1 style graphic, um, I don't. I'm not sure how the PlayStation could generate, or if it could. I suppose in some way it could generate shadows and stuff. But as I want it to be a little bit more flat to like be closer to that style as I remember it. And of course, I am drawing in all the shadows, so I don't want any light sources. But uh, as Blender is focused around light sources, everything goes through this shading process. Um, but actually, I don't need that. So I'm just gonna pull it from the material itself to the output, so it doesn't go through any of this shading thing. This is probably not best practice for your project, but I think this is that's what I want to go for in mine. So I'm gonna go through some of these different things that I've made and make sure that they are all linked up like that. I have noticed that this gives me some issues when I want to redraw on them. It seems like I can't be too zoomed in on them. I'm not sure quite why that is, but so I'm kind of, that's why I'm not doing it until now on most of the parts. because it does make some of these parts a little bit more difficult, but I think I could also then like redo what I'm doing here. But yeah, I don't want that right now. And of course these chairs are fine. This manhole cover I also drew, and this I don't remember what that is. That is probably problematic. And then we just, so yeah, this is a bit boring. But uh, that is also kind of how this, it's part of the process. So you just have to be cool with it, or save it for someday where you don't want to do anything anyways. Oh, 7. And there are a couple of things that I don't want to include. And then I have my pipes. I think most of my pipes are actually done in the right way. So yeah, those things are nothing. So yeah, I'm gonna save the project, and that reminds me that I should of course also save the texture paint on my roof, because otherwise that's gonna be gone. And that's just gonna save that, save, and save. And now let's try and see what is in the box. So, oh yeah, of course now we see maybe this corner is not set up in the right way. This, as it seems very dark. I'm just gonna check in on that. The corner, yeah. So that is also like that. Save again, and then render again. Yeah. So again, this room is very light right now. Maybe even a bit too light for my liking. So I am gonna do uh, just just try to go in here and then maybe give it a bit of a not do over, but like try to just give it a little bit more weathering. Um, so so that was about three times over. Let's see if that looks. So at least it makes it just a little bit more gray. So it can be kind of hard to gauge exactly how much it needs to make it look like what you want, but uh, that is uh, that is just how it is. So here we can just save those things. Maybe give it a bit more on these parts around shadows. So it doesn't have to be too uniform on these parts. But and here comes my dog. It's very nice. And yeah, so it's okay that it's a bit weird all the way around. Or not weird, but different, because that just makes it, I can make it kind of pop a little bit more. So just give it like here and there. And of course there was around those places. Is this, where's the door actually? Maybe I should have a little bit more around where the door is. Should be under miscellaneous. So the door is there. Okay. And just, yeah, just trying to giving it a little bit of a top off. And then there's the south wall. And that is more or less it. trying to keep a bit of a track on the time, just to see what else we can do this episode. So this is what we have now, and I'm gonna try and render that and see if that improved it. Oh yeah, as you can see, it's still quite bright. Um, Maybe I also need to do like a bit more, uh, yeah, a bit more weathering, detailing, sharing on some of the other parts, uh, just to make it like fit together even more. So it could even like do something like this and like maybe really get in there. But I feel like, as I mentioned earlier, this is kind of oh, this is for me probably the hardest part to make these things really seem like they fit together. I suppose it being like this uh, PlayStation-y graphics makes it a, a bit more lenient in the way of it. Uh, yeah, some of the games back then, di- some of the things did look a little bit weird, a little bit out of place. But yeah, so it's not a very strict project like that. So at least that's nice. Maybe gonna see if I can do a bit more weathering on some of these things to make them uh, not stand out that much, because they should not be like the primary focus of the viewer. So if we do like that and try to and render that again. So yeah, it is dulled down a little bit, and I can see the room is a bit better now, I think. But this is of course something that you can continue with and try to make it fit just the way you wanted it. Um, these machines, maybe I want to make them a bit darker, uh, just so they don't look the exact same as the background. So let's try and give them a bit more of this, and maybe just maybe can. Oh, which one is this actually? It's this one over here. Okay, good. This is also one of the areas. So yeah, this is one of the problems then. If you paint too much from one angle when you're doing the shadows, then it can look weird, because you are actually, yeah, you're painting in shadows. So try to be a bit closer to it. Try not to paint too many times of the same part, and then I'm gonna. So it is a lot of enabling, disabling the walls and stuff. Oh, no, I did it again, didn't I? So, um, so something like this. And as you make it, giving them more shadows, you can of course also consider giving them a bit more highlights, just to make them maybe stand out a little bit more, pop a little bit more, and yeah, and overall like just give them so as these should be metallic things, then uh, they should have a bit of a different surface feel than some of the other things. So this is definitely something that you can do and should consider uh, if and when you are creating your own thing. But something like this. So now let's try and have a look in the render of it. it still more or less looks the same. So that makes me think that I should probably uh, give it a even more strength. So of course not go too crazy, but so. And I suppose this is also one of the times where you can then say, okay, if I really want to make it look different, then maybe giving it a little bit of different coloration here. So this could be that this machine has like a little bit brownish tint to some of the areas, and just giving it a bit more, not necessarily a lot, but just a bit of weathering. And you can see it already starts to get a little bit of that. And I think this is definitely better than this one. It's not as flat, but still, uh, it's not something that pops out, which I think is nice. So here I actually want to give it a little bit more over here. Just make sure it's not too much. And maybe a little bit more over here. So yeah, it's definitely a balance that you have to figure out with your project, and I still have to work with it. Though I might not want to give this that much more effort right now, at least. Uh, but like just giving it a little bit of here and there. Um, so yeah, it does have a bit of weirdness here with those shadows that I was painting earlier. I want that to blend together maybe just a little bit better. Just trying to. And here, of course, you can always go in to a different program, or maybe even use this smoothing tool. I haven't been using it that much, but I suppose it can do the trick. So maybe something like maybe something like that. So let's see how that looks. And image. Well, it looks like something. Again, I don't think this is not necessarily completely done yet. Definitely needs a bit more work, but it's getting somewhere. And for now, I am happy with that, and I'm just uh, gonna click on this save all images just to make sure that all the changes that I've made right now have actually been saved. So one of the final things that I want to look at today, now that we've already spent like more or less an hour on this part, I do want to like look a little bit at the next part. So now, as I've been making these rooms for quite a bit now, I want maybe to go back to some of these character models, as I mentioned before. So this is the brute character yeah, basically as I have him now. This is far from, oh, maybe not far from, but it's definitely not finished yet. Do feel like there's some things that are not quite as I want it to be. And here I just want to look a little bit more at like some of my inspirations, and this is of course Bebop and Rocksteady from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Big fan of these guys back in the days. They are like the ultimate henchmen of just being big and brutish, and I think it is quite obvious that that is what I'm trying to go for here. Of course, mine is a completely original design, uh, But yeah, so I want something like a little bit closer to them. Uh, so maybe trying to study them a little bit more in terms of how their proportions are, and what makes them, yeah, fun to look at. So my initial design or concept art is this one, um, which I think is still what I'm gonna go for. So just a guy that kind of looks like a fly, so like also a mutant like them. Um, but yeah, maybe one of the things that I'm noticing here is, of course, that maybe the head is too small, while the legs are too long. Um, I can never remember which one is Bebop and which one is Rocksteady, but the Rhino guy, you can see he has actually quite short legs and a very big head that is quite far down, whereas my character here is quite far up. Uh, and the pig guy, he's maybe a bit more narrow. Um, his head is a bit further up and his legs are a little bit longer, but I think my character is like maybe a bit shorter legs and have the just overall have the head quite a bit bigger, it actually seems, and try to have it a bit further down. Of course, there's the posture of the guys. They are quite a bit hunched over and in the brutish ways. That's not something that I'm gonna focus too much on right now, as I am how to say, as I don't necessarily as that if I don't know how to say that, but I don't want to focus on the posture right now and just trying to get the proportions as I want it. I think is the important part here. So so what I noticed from looking at these guys, like then trying to, I don't know if we can do this a nice way, but trying to have, trying to do it a little bit more like this. So yeah, the torso is uh, the torso is overall too long in mine. So I don't know which one is the best way of doing it, but maybe a bit more like this, and yeah, and then also the legs, I believe. Oh, did I actually do that wrong? Yeah, I did. So here, of course, it is very important that you get all the different uh, vertices, uh, just to make sure that you keep the proportions. And here I am just modeling it, and here I press G to move and Z to just move it on the Z axis, so up and down here. Gonna be like that, I think. And then I'm gonna take a bit of the length of the leg, so a bit of the thigh, so it doesn't matter too much that it's making a bit weird there, but is that too? So something like that, and then also a bit of the lower leg, and then maybe give him a little bit more junk in the trunk, some girth. Ooh. Uh, hmm. Wait, somehow I deleted something. That's great. So I'm gonna try and move that. No, I'm moving it outwards. I want to move it this way. So yeah, just a little bit more like that. And maybe make his legs a little rounder as well. So on the y-axis here. And here, of course, you can move it like a little bit more dynamically, just whatever suits you. I think I will try to add a link to Sickly Wizard on this, just to um, yeah, just to show you where I learned whatever I'm doing here. Um, and yeah, just to give a shout out to him again, because I think he's a really nice source of inspiration on this matter, and yeah, and he's of course uh, way better than me. Um, but we're all just learning, so it's fine. And move that down. So again, when nitpicking a little bit here, want to make him have these combat boots that are a little bit laced open. So as in my initial concept art, we have them here. So what other things is it that I want? Oh yeah, we were talking about his head being too small. So let's try and see if we can fix that. Um, so one of the things that you might be noticing here is that um, it is all like it's just one half kind of, and this is to make sure that there's symmetry in it. This is of course something that Sickly Wizard goes through in his video. So I feel like that can be very useful and really uh, make it a lot easier in terms of how much you need to do and how much you need to work on that. So yeah. Now I feel like we're finally getting somewhere. I don't know if the eyes are gonna be too big, and I want him to be a little bit more. Uh, so maybe if I move again here, I am not like the expert on this area, so it is very much just trying some different stuff out and see if that works. And if it doesn't, then we have to retry. And this one, maybe move that a little bit out. So yeah, I feel like that's already a little bit better. Maybe it is actually a little bit too far down. It's kind of hard to see what I need here, because of course, as we said, some of the posture is also gonna change that. Um, they are quite broad across the shoulders as well, and I think that's one of the things that I also want to get in here to make him feel a little bit more menacing, and not just being yeah, not just regular big, but actually also have a bit more girth in that way. So let's try something like this. Yeah, and with that, so yeah, I feel like we're getting somewhere. Maybe give him a bit more belly outwards here. Make the crotch area a little bit longer as well. I don't know. Looking directly into his butt. Uh, um, want to drag these out a little bit. Push in back. So yeah, it is a lot of nitpicking, or not even nitpicking, but just like small adjustments. And I suppose you just have to do it until it is the way you kind of want it to look. I don't know if there's any real golden way, and I suppose there is nothing that is right or wrong here. Well, I suppose some things look completely wrong, but uh, whatever, whatever floats your boat. It's your project. Don't let anybody tell you how it should be, unless they have really good points, and then you can listen to them. But yeah, I already feel like that's at least a little bit better. Um, Again, I do want to maybe make some of these different areas pop a little bit more. So I want him to have like these uh, oh, knee pads. So maybe make his knees a little bit more bulky than they have to be. Um, just to make him look cool, right? And so something like this. And here you can add you can add more vertices or like subdivide some of these to make it fit like even more what you want it to. Of course, this is uh, I'm still trying to keep it as a very simple model to keep it within this like old school or semi old school graphics, right? So I don't want there to be too many polygons or make it be um, too detailed like that. So I'm still just trying not to add too many things. But yeah, sometimes it is necessary. For example, with the boots, when I want to give them a little bit. Also, maybe. um of course, I am gonna need to give him some wristband and that the gun hand because that's quite important to the story. And yeah, we also need to give him a little fancy little hat. And the vest, I'm still not sure. I think I am gonna make it uh, exactly how it is gonna be is still a little bit up in the air for me. I think maybe like one of the things that we could do is try to make a loop cut around here. Mm, Actually, maybe it's okay with where it is up here. I should probably still add one just so that we can uh, um, yeah, make that again, just make it pop more. So now it kind of already looks like he's wearing a vest. So that's some of the things that I still need to do on this model, and and but I think it this can also be a very fun part of the project, and definitely definitely try to enjoy that part. So yeah, so now there's a little bit more there. Um, when it comes to making his oh my god, I suppose the hands could still be a little bit bigger, maybe also a little bit shorter, as now we've made the legs shorter, so it doesn't look like a gorilla, uh, unless you want it to be that, but I don't need that. So I'm just gonna make, yeah, right now I'm just moving around more or less randomly, but trying to make it look more or less right. So yeah, I think this is already a lot better. So I'm gonna save it here, and then I'm gonna thank you for tuning in, and hope to see you next time in episode 3. Bye bye.